The city was alive with the morning pulse of ambition, glass towers reflecting the sun, engines humming, footsteps echoing across the polished marble of a corporate plaza. Among the stream of executives, one little girl stood out, her soft pink dress brushing against her knees as she clutched a small toy in her hand. Her name was Emma, a quiet 6-year-old whose mother, Diana, worked as a corporate translator for one of the wealthiest businessmen in the city, Mr. Chen, a self-made millionaire whose empire stretched across continents. That morning was supposed to be routine. Diana had brought Emma along because the babysitter canceled, and she promised her daughter it would only be a short stop before heading home. But in a single moment, that ordinary morning twisted into something that would change all their lives forever. The morning light poured through the towering glass entrance as Diana crouched beside Emma, adjusting her cardigan. Behind them, 3 uniformed security guards stood by a sleek black car parked near the curb. Mr. Chen had just finished a press meeting and was due to head to another event. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. The air was calm, almost rehearsed. Emma's curious eyes wandered from her mother to the guards who were speaking quietly among themselves. She tilted her head, catching words she didn't understand. And then, suddenly, she did. Diana had been teaching Emma small phrases in different languages for fun, and Mandarin happened to be one of them. The girl recognized just enough to freeze where she stood. The words floated from their mouths like ice. The bomb is under the seat. He won't make it past the bridge. Her tiny fingers tightened around her toy. Her breath caught. She didn't move, but the color drained from her face. Diana noticed her daughter's sudden stiffness and knelt beside her, concern clouding her expression. "Emma, it's wrong?" she whispered. But the child only stared at the guards, her lips trembling. Mr. Chen was walking toward the car, shaking hands with a few associates, smiling as if the world were his. Emma turned toward him, her small voice breaking through the hum of engines and chatter. "Don't get in the car." For a moment, the plaza froze. Heads turned. The girl's cry sliced through the air like an alarm bell. The guards straightened, their eyes flashing panic before one of them reached for his earpiece. Diana's heart stopped. She didn't know why Emma had shouted, but the terror in her daughter's voice was unmistakable. Mr. Chen hesitated mid-step, confusion and concern blending on his face. Then he saw the girl's trembling hand pointing toward the vehicle. Something in her eyes, that raw, desperate sincerity, made him step back. "Wait," he ordered. In seconds, the security team moved in, scanning the car. One of the guards, nervous and sweating, tried to deflect, insisting everything was fine. But when another guard opened the back door, the faint ticking noise silenced every sound in the plaza. The next moments blurred police alarms, panicked shouting, a rushed evacuation, and then the explosion ripped through the parking area, throwing smoke and debris into the sky. The car had detonated prematurely, sparing everyone who had hesitated to climb inside. Mr. Chen stood there, shaken, but alive. The force of the blast had knocked him backward, his white shirt streaked with dust. Emma clung to her mother's waist, eyes wide, sobbing softly. The surviving guards were apprehended, immediately. 2 of them turned out to be imposters hired through a shadow security firm, part of a plot that investigators later uncovered as a targeted assassination attempt. Hours later, when the chaos settled, the millionaire sat across from Diana and Emma in the sterile comfort of the police station. His eyes, usually sharp and calculating, now carried something new: gratitude and guilt. "She saved my life," he said softly, looking at the child who hid half her face behind her mother's arm. Emma didn't answer. She just nodded slightly, her eyes red from crying. Mr. Chen exhaled slowly, his voice breaking. "I don't think anyone has ever done that for me before." Days turned into weeks. The news made headlines across the country. Millionaire saved by child's warning. But what the cameras didn't capture was how that single act of bravery reshaped the lives of everyone involved. Mr. Chen visited Diana and Emma often. He learned that Diana had been raising her daughter alone since her husband's passing 2 years earlier. She worked long hours translating documents and attending corporate meetings just to keep their small apartment. Emma had learned bits of Mandarin from listening to her mother practice at home, the same language that unknowingly helped her prevent a tragedy. What began as gratitude soon became something deeper. Mr. Chen found comfort in their presence, the laughter he'd long forgotten, the warmth of home he hadn't felt in years. For Emma, he became like the father she missed so deeply, someone who listened to her stories and encouraged her curiosity. For Diana, he was a reminder that kindness still existed in a world that often felt cold and transactional. Slowly, he began supporting Diana's work, funding a language education program in Emma's name to help children from struggling families learn foreign languages. "So they can be brave too," he said, with a gentle smile. But what truly changed Mr. Chen wasn't the act of being saved. It was realizing how little things he had ignored in his life could mean everything. He had spent decades building walls of wealth and power, but it took a child's innocent courage to show him that humanity still mattered more than any empire. Months later, as the three of them stood together on the same plaza where it all happened, the city alive around them, Mr. Chen turned to Emma and said, "You didn't just save my life. You reminded me what it means to live it." The little girl smiled shyly and looked at her mother, who squeezed her shoulder proudly. The glass building behind them reflected the morning sun, a quiet symbol of new beginnings, not born of money or fame, but of love, courage, and second chances. Emma's bravery reminds us that even in a world full of fear, a child's heart can save not just one life, but many. And for Diana and Mr. Chen, that one act of courage was enough to rewrite the story of their lives. A story of faith, humanity, and the power of doing what's right, no matter how small or scared you feel. Because kindness spoken in any language can save the world.